Hey there, if you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Hannah, and I'm a photographer and video creator based in Seattle, Washington. And I've been at this whole thing for 7 years now. I've been in this constant state of reminiscing and thinking about my journey as a photographer and now into a content creator. And I kind of feel like it's a little essential to this overall video. So I'm going to take you way back, and we're going to start back when I first got introduced to a camera. And that was by my mom. She was always photographing me, everything around us, our trips, our little vacations, just random daily life moments. And then when I got into high school, I took a black and white photography class. And I was actually just talking to my mom about this a couple of days ago. I didn't like it. I don't know what it was, but it didn't click way back then. Maybe that's because I was 15 or 16 years old and didn't really care about the arts, or didn't see myself going into that field. But it's kind of funny because looking back at that, it was kind of that pivotal moment of, I don't know, just something that stuck with me. And now I look back at that wishing I had spent more time in the darkroom, spent more time crafting those black and white images. But then it led me to Instagram and creating content on Instagram when that came out. And I didn't really take it seriously until after I graduated college. And it was kind of this creative outlet for me that really scratched this itch that I had to just be more creative. And I didn't know where this was coming from. So to make this very, very long story short, I ended up entering an Instagram contest to travel across the world with a complete stranger. Never met this person in my life. And I ended up winning that contest. I traveled to Hong Kong and Thailand with her for 14 days. And that trip was, I swear, I credit it as like the most life-changing experience I had, because it opened the door to travel and to photography in a whole new way. I'd never left the country before. And as you can imagine, going to Asia, let alone Hong Kong and Thailand, it just blew my mind. And after that trip, I found it to be a core piece of my existence. And that sounds dramatic, but when you find what you like and what you love, you want to hold on to that. You're covetous of it. And one thing about my journey over the last 7 years was I didn't know what my purpose was, what I was doing. It's kind of like throwing spaghetti on the wall and just seeing if it's going to stick. I felt like I was running into brick walls. I got caught in this trap of recreating things that I was already seeing. When I finally stopped listening to all of that noise and started blocking it out, I felt like that's when I started to make moves. That's when I started to actually become the creative I always envisioned myself as, but the creative that also felt very intangible. It was shutting out that noise and really just focusing on myself, what makes me tick, what my interests are. And that's kind of what got me to where I am today. I feel at most in my creative power that I really ever have over this very long 7-year journey. So I wanted to share some tips with you that helped me find my creative voice so that maybe it won't take you 7 years, 10 years, 15 years to find it for yourself. My first tip would be simply ask yourself why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you like taking photos? Or why do you like that creative outlet that you find yourself spending so much time doing? Asking yourself why can really accelerate this path and help you kind of get to that destination perhaps faster because you're more pointed. And my why is portraying a place or a moment exactly as it was when I experienced it. And it's kind of become this pillar in everything that I create to be able to bring you into whatever I'm experiencing. And one of my examples I wanted to share is a reel I recently created that I call my Humans of India reel. While I was there, I felt this sense of curiosity and wonder even about a place that I barely understood, even though I was in it, experiencing it. And that right there is just what I was trying to convey and capture, to create this physicality around my photos and create an emotion so that you can feel like you're there too, experiencing it. So I just encourage you to ask yourself, why? My next tip is you are what you eat. And what I mean by that is you put out what you take in. So take some time off the social media apps you love so much and find inspiration elsewhere. What is it that you like? What do you gravitate towards? What are the things you like to do? And let those things guide you and get away from that copy and paste culture that is social media. For me, I find inspiration through so many different avenues, and one of those is photo books, specifically this photo book. This book is called Arctic Heroes, and while I'm not a wildlife photographer and I don't shoot in black and white and I don't shoot in the Arctic, I find a lot of inspiration through this book because it's taught me a lot about composition and sense of place, that thing I mentioned before that is like my driving force. One of my greatest inspirations has and always will be Anthony Bourdain, and I remember watching his episode on Hong Kong on his show The Layover and furiously taking notes. I, in fact, still have that note and haven't touched it since that day in 2016. And when I started watching his other show called Parts Unknown, that's when I fell even more in love with his way of storytelling. And in that show, I started to take more of an interest in the cinematography and how the B-roll was shot, how his interviews were shot, his voiceovers, all of the really curated elements of that show, I gravitated towards. Some other places I find inspiration are through documentaries, podcasts, music, museums, nature, architecture, or the actual place that I'm in. Because sometimes the physicality of that place is simply enough for my creative eye to take off. My final tip is to practice. And I read this quote recently by a person named Malcolm Gladwell. And that quote reads, "Practice isn't the thing you do once you're good. It's the thing you do that makes you good." Moral of that sentence? You just have to go out and do the damn thing. You have to practice. There's nothing that can replace practicing your craft. And sitting there thinking about doing the thing isn't going to make you any better. You have to go out and just do it. So say your end goal is to be a published wildlife photographer, but you're not going on any huge safaris. Go out in your community and photograph birds, coyotes, fox, whatever you have at your disposal with the gear that you already have, and make it work. Will it be your best work? Is that going to be the work that's published? Probably not, but that's okay. I look back at some of my older work and I'm like, oh no. It's humbling, and I do still cringe, but that's okay because without those really bad photos, I wouldn't be where I am today. Would I have been even confident enough to step into the world of video? Who knows? So without practice, I really don't know where I'd be. I'm just happy I never stopped, and that feeling, there's just nothing like it. I hope this video encouraged you to think critically about your why, inspired you to seek inspiration elsewhere, and to go out and practice your craft because you're not gonna get any better just sitting there not doing anything. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're into this sort of thing, don't forget to subscribe. I will catch you guys in the next one.